Good morning. It is now 9 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And in the news today, the peace talks are off and the blockade remains in place. And where we are now with the Iran ceasefire with ABC's Mary Bruce.
Is now indefinite. And it comes, of course, as the president had even been threatening to resume attacks. But he now says that Pakistan asked him to hold off on any further attacks. And he says he is complying, but he says he is not going to do the one thing that the Iranians were asking of him, and that is to end the blockade on Iranian ports.
The president posting on social media overnight, too, that Iran is collapsing financially because it's losing $500 million a day due to the strait being closed. Also happening overnight, 3 ships have reported being fired upon in the Strait of Hormuz. The UK says that Iran has fired on one of its container ships, heavily damaging its bridge. Police in Spring Hill are still searching for 2 men who broke into a home in the overnight hours Monday. The family telling police that the men were armed, but it's not clear if they stole anything from the home. Nobody was injured. The incident has neighbors rethinking their security.
I just thought for a second there, I wish I had more safety features in my house.
I had my backyard doors now fixed it because we were not locking any doors.
Those neighbors speaking to WSMB4. Police are asking any neighbors living near that Boxbury Lane home to check their surveillance cameras to find those intruders. Democrats have one less vote in the House of Representatives. Sheila Sherfilis McCormick resigning from Congress right before a vote that could have ended her political career.
Just minutes before the committee was set to meet. She issues this statement, Congresswoman Sherfilis McCormick, and she says, quote, "Rather than play these political games, I choose to step away so that I can devote my time to fighting for my neighbors in Florida's 20th district." She really brought it down to the wire, and she largely did it because there was this expected expulsion vote that was likely to happen after the committee made its recommendations in the House really any day now.
ABC's Jay O'Brien there. She is accused of embezzling $5 million in FEMA funds. And finally, Axios is reporting that the city of Nashville is on Super Bowl watch. Now, this comes after sportscaster Dan Patrick said on his show Monday that he has heard that the Music City is hosting the big game in 2030. And in fact, he said that deal is, quote, signed and ready to go. But sources tell Axios that nothing is official and no announcement is imminent. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Bit of a rally going on here. The Dow Jones Industrials plus 454 right now. NASDAQ is up 225, and we've got the S&P ahead by 56. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 6 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I always awkwardly get in here after the crisscross handoff, and I'll look at Mason and I'll be like, I didn't go too far with those jokes today. No, I don't think so. No. And I like look for that calm approval that comes from Mason, and it can only come from Mason. Like I didn't. Advocating for Brinks truck robbers to get away isn't too far of a position, is it? He's like, nah, bro, you're cool. Thanks, Mason. Thanks, bud. Sure do appreciate it.
Yep. That's unfortunately what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, listen. And then when I said coffee of color, you got the joke, right?
I got that it's a joke, and you're not being malicious in any way.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. You don't think I pissed anybody off, did you?
I sure hope not.
All right, good.
The text line will let you know, for sure.
They sure will. Actually, the text line, surprisingly, pro Brinks truck robbers.
Oh.
So, it wasn't just me. Had it ended in a more tragic situation, you couldn't be pro Brinks truck robber. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But when nobody gets hurt, well, then you can kind of root for the guys.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I've watched The Town one too many times, I guess. They killed a couple people, though, in The Town, didn't they?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, like, a different kind of ending.
A little more, I wouldn't say peaceful, but...
Whose car are we taking? Right?
I made it PG-13, not R.
Jim in Nashville, speaking of cars, wants to talk about Waymo cars. What's up, Jim? Taking calls early. Oh, you got to pot him up. What's up, Jim? What do you got?
Have you experienced? Yeah. Have you experienced any of them driving around self-driving cars or seen them?
The Waymos? I haven't experienced them in Nashville, but I've taken one in Phoenix before.
I'm kind of scared of them because, I mean, I don't know if if people are driving them, I guess I have more faith in, but them driving by themselves, I'm just, I don't know if they're, their programming's good or faulty or what. I was just wondering what your take is.
Well,
on it.
can I ask you a question? And we should actually make a YouTube poll out of this. What makes you more nervous, a Waymo cab or a truck driver that's an illegal alien?
The latter.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. Hey, I appreciate the call. I wouldn't worry about the Waymo cabs. They got cameras all around them, right? Like, they'll be all right. They'll be all right. They can interpret and read the road signs. So I think that would be a positive benefit to driving. As we know, the illegal aliens, they cannot in most cases. Did you hear Dan? Dan did a great job talking about illegal alien truckers earlier in his show. You're welcome to go back on YouTube and check that out after my show, of course. You can listen to this show anywhere on all the apps, the FM dial. You can watch us on Super Talk TV. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. YouTube, we're putting up a poll right now. What do you trust more, an illegal alien truck driver or a Waymo cab? I feel like that's a good question. Is that just me?
That's a good question.
This is me stalling because I'm honestly just exhausted by the Iran conversation.
I don't blame you.
It feels like we've been talking about this for 4 to 6 weeks. Sorry.
They told us it might be shorter.
Sorry.
The conversation might end.
Sorry. And then I'm driving in this morning, and I hear Iran is they're looking for a little FAFO. Have you heard this? They have reportedly attacked 3 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and seized 2. And this is since Donald Trump extended the ceasefire. Fox News had the call of the game this morning. Iran seizing 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. I thought they didn't have boats. I thought they didn't have a navy, but they're able to seize some vessels. Let's listen in.
Claiming the country attacked 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and 2 of the vessels are apparently now in the control of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
This is Axios reports that President Trump is giving Iran 3 to 5 days to unify behind a ceasefire counteroffer. That's getting their side on the same page, let alone getting us on the same page with them. Lucas Tomlinson joins us now with the details. Lucas, what's the problem with Iran?
Where do I start, Brian? Where on earth do I start? We could start with Mohammedanism. We could start there. We can go off on a different million branches if you want to. Let's hear.
Well, Brian, just hours after President Trump extended the ceasefire to Iran indefinitely, it appears that Iran is already breaking it, opening fire on at least 3 vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and commandeering 2 of them. And President Trump announcing the ceasefire yesterday on Truth Social. I'll read it to you, Brian, and everyone. It says, quote, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded. Now, early this morning, the first attack by Iranian gunboats took place in the Strait of Hormuz, causing heavy damage to the bridge where you drive the ship, of course. The second attack took place 8 miles off the coast of Iran, the third attack nearby. Ship tracking shows a Panamanian flagged and Liberian flagged vessels attacked and seized. Iran's state broadcaster says the 2 vessels are currently inside Iran's territorial waters, being held for inspection of their cargo, documentation, and related records. Recalls just a few days ago, on Friday, in fact, when President Trump said Iran would never again close the Strait of Hormuz. Last night, he said financial pressure is key to ending the war, posting, quote, Iran is collapsing financially. They want the Strait of Hormuz opened immediately, starving for cash, losing $500 million a day. Military and police complaining that they are not getting paid. SOS. Now,
yet it still seems like there's a power vacuum inside of Iran, and currently the people that we're negotiating with, the parliament speaker, it doesn't seem like he has any power over the IRGC. At least that's what it looks like from my perspective. You may have a different opinion. 615-737-9986. This seizing of 2 ships comes after the Iranian ceasefire the ceasefire extension that was announced last night by President Trump, and also following the cancellation of J.D. Vance going to Islamabad, Pakistan. 615-737-9986. AJ in Michigan wants to talk about, was it Waymos versus illegal aliens? What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. What do you got, AJ?
When you said illegal truck drivers, all illegal drivers are bad. Not just the illegal truck drivers. They're terrible and not even being out here. But it's all illegal drivers. Not just the ones in the tractor trailer.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think the conversation always goes to the illegal truck drivers because, we've talked about that a lot on this show. We had Danielle Chaffin in here for an unbelievable interview, which was like, what? How many months ago was that? Like 4 months ago? 5 months ago? It got a ton of views on YouTube because she's just unbelievable. But nothing's really been done about it too much. I know they're withholding some funds from New York. They're going after some licenses. But I don't think they're going as hard as they should. And Daniela told us that she thinks there's 300,000. Was that what the number was? 300,000 illegal alien truck drivers in the country? So I felt like it was good to compare that to the Waymos. How many Waymos are in the country? Does anybody know how many Waymo cabs are operating in the country? I bet you Grok knows. Grok, got to lean on Grok. How many Waymos are operating? People love it when you Google on the air in the USA. Let's see. It's thinking. How many Waymos versus how many illegal aliens? Yeah, okay, so there's about 3,000 robo-taxis in service. So just times that by 100, that's how many illegal alien truckers. That would influence my vote. I don't know. Maybe it'll influence yours. The poll's up on the YouTube channel. You're welcome to jump in. We mentioned moments ago, J.D. Vance's trip yesterday to Islamabad, Pakistan for the negotiations was postponed. They said that they weren't sure if the Iranians were going to have much of a negotiating position, and they didn't want to accept America's terms, so they weren't going to show up. This was earlier yesterday.
All right, well, we figured that this was probably the case, but now it appears to be official that J.D. Vance, the vice president's trip to Pakistan to meet with Iranian officials for a second round of negotiations is on hold. This is because the Iranians, who really don't have much of a negotiating position, have decided that they don't want to accept America's terms, and so they're not going to show up. So more on this as we get it. Sandra?
It's just an insane story. Then after that happened, Donald Trump announced a ceasefire on Truth Social. This was yesterday afternoon. Statement of President Donald J. Trump. Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and, in all other respects, remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. Interesting timing of this. To be perfectly honest with you. And it could mean nothing. It could mean a bit more than we are giving it credit. But this Truth Social post came out at about 4:02 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. At about 1:02 Eastern Standard Time, a story came out from CNN. And the story said this: U.S. at risk of running out of missiles if another war breaks out after depleting stockpile in Iran operations. I believe that this has to be at least partially true. And one of the reasons is the conversations before the ceasefire about how it would help America more than it would help the Iranians. The Iranians are digging out. We're stocking up. But CNN put it this way: the U.S. military has significantly depleted its stockpile of key missiles during the war with Iran and created a near-term risk of running out of ammunition in a future conflict should one arise in the next few years, according to experts and 3 people familiar with recent internal Defense Department stockpile assessments. Now, you might say this is CNN. I don't want to believe this. Well, I agree. We should take it with a grain of salt. It is CNN, the worldwide leader in news. But we've also seen reports of Donald Trump and the Pentagon reaching out to Ford, reaching out to GM about switching their manufacturing capabilities over to wartime production. So there's probably a little bit more truth to this story than the Trump administration wants to let on. The article continues to say over the last 7 weeks of the war, the U.S. military has expended at least 45% of its stockpile of precision strike missiles, at least half of its inventory of THAAD missiles, which are designed to intercept ballistic missiles, and nearly 50% of its stockpile of Patriot air defense interceptor missiles, according to a new analysis conducted by the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Those numbers closely align with classified Pentagon data about U.S. stockpiles, according to sources familiar with the assessment. Earlier this year, the Pentagon signed a series of contracts that would help expand the missile production, but the delivery time to replace these systems is 3 to 5 years, even with the increased capacity. The CSIS experts and the sources said, in short term, the U.S. likely maintains enough bombs and missiles to continue combat operations against Iran. That's not really in question. In any scenario, they say, should the shaky ceasefire fail to hold. But the number of critical munitions remaining in U.S. stockpiles is no longer sufficient to confront a near-peer adversary like China. So it will likely take years before the inventory of those weapons return to pre-war levels, the analysis concludes. Just a crazy story. Something to keep your eye on. Mike in Bethpage wants to talk about Iran. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how's it going? Good morning.
What do you got?
Hey, Iran wants nuclear missiles. We got a bunch of them out in silos out in Missouri and Montana and Wyoming. I think we should send them some and be done with it.
Feel like we should oblige them?
Yeah, just like if you want them, we'll give them to you.
I mean, I sense that there's a hint of sarcasm there. Do you honestly support nuking Iran?
Yeah, I did 24 years in the military, and spent a lot of time over in the Middle East, and I'm like, yeah.
What'd you do in the military?
I flew Black Hawk helicopters.
Oh, it's pretty cool, man. You got any cool stories?
I got missiles shot at me, and I've been to Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, did all that crazy jazz. So,
man,
right now I just live on my farm and chill out and raise pigs and cows.
Absolutely based. Well, I don't know if I would classify having missiles shot at me as cool. I would consider it more terrifying. Though I would imagine you're built for that a little bit more than I am. Would you be worried if the U.S. did nuke Iran? Would you be worried what might happen with Russia or China?
Well, I am being sarcastic. We really couldn't do that because it would be like total destruction, because China and Russia, they would just go absolutely ape, Yep. So, yeah, we couldn't do that. So, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the simple equation is or the solution for this problem is, but it's a hot mess. It's like my ex-wife, a hot mess.
Oh, jeez. The ex-wife out here catching strays. From your, and I'm just asking you this because you called in, Mike, and you're the closest thing I have to an expert at the moment. With your military experience, your perspective, how do you think the U.S. has been handling this conflict so far?
I think it's been handling pretty good. I mean, I really respect, like, the A-10 Warthogs and the Apaches in the Straits of Hormuz, like, blowing up stuff. But, I hear on the news, which is mostly lies. You guys are straight talkers, but, they said, oh, we destroyed the Iranian Navy, but clearly they're, shooting ships and, doing all this other stuff. But I just, we need to get out the U.S. policy. We need to get out of country rebuilding. Like, Iraq don't need a McDonald's on every corner. They don't want it. It's just, I was in Afghanistan,
I'm not even sure it's
like,
halal, Mike.
What's that?
I said I'm not sure McDonald's is halal, so I don't know. I don't know if it would work out.
Yeah, I mean, and like Afghanistan, I was like, when we leave, who's going to take over? The Taliban's going to take over. And what happened? The Taliban took over. I mean,
so you're more nervous about the land of unintended consequences of this conflict.
Yeah, it's going to. I mean, we're fighting the Persians. I mean, they will fight over there. They've been fighting before Jesus was born. I mean, they'll continue to fight. So.
I hear it, brother. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in. You're welcome to call in anytime. It's 9:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On the way, sorry, J.D. Vance isn't good enough. They want somebody else to come for negotiations. I'll tell you who they're asking for when we get back. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up, President Trump gives Iran 3 to 5 days more of a ceasefire, and it comes after what Iran did in the Strait of Hormuz early this morning. Those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. Headlines on the way in less than 2 minutes. Over in Pakistan, they actually have their eyes set on a bit higher target than Vice President Vance when it comes to negotiations, and they're tightening security for that potential high-value negotiator.
Fluid situation. It's 10 o'clock at night here, so people here in Islamabad may go to bed tonight without an answer on whether there will be peace talks tomorrow. Now, a short while ago, we did get a pretty informative update from a Pakistani official here who writes the situation as it stands about 2.5 hours ago. Formal response from Iranian side about confirmation of delegation to attend Islamabad peace talks is still awaited, so Iran has not confirmed. Pakistan, as the mediator, is a constant touch with Iranians and pursuing the path of diplomacy and dialogue. The ceasefire ends at 4:50 a.m. Pakistani time, so overnight tonight into April 22nd tomorrow. Decision from Iran to attend the talks before the end of 2 weeks ceasefire is critical, and Pakistan has made sincere efforts to convince the Iranian leadership to participate in the second round of talks, and these efforts continue. Now, on the ground, security is tightening. Earlier today here in Islamabad, I saw one of the police roadblocks where armed officers were screening every car. There is a designated red zone that's formed a perimeter around the area where the high-stakes talks may take place. And one of the Pakistani papers, The Dawn, has an article that says Islamabad has increased its security compared to when Vice President Vance visited the first time, because Pakistan's really hoping that President Trump comes to this country, which he said he might.
Do you want President Trump to go to Pakistan for negotiations? Did you even want Vice President Vance to go to Pakistan for negotiations? We'll take some of your phone calls. Talk a little bit more Iran on the way. Plus, the FBI, the DOJ, and the SPLC. Oh, my gosh, what a wild story. We'll talk about all that and more on the way. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And President Trump says the extension of the ceasefire is limited now to the next 3 to 5 days. That announcement after Iran fired on 3 ships this morning. Lucas Tomlin at Fox News.
After U.S. forces seized 2 Iranian ships, it appears Iran has responded in kind, seizing 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz just this morning. And the British military says Iranian gunboats attacked 3 ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz, commandeering 2 of them. One causing heavy damage to the bridge. The second attack took place just 8 miles off the coast of Iran, the third nearby. Ship tracking shows it was a Panamanian flag and Liberian flag vessels that were seized. Iran state broadcaster says the 2 vessels are currently inside Iran's territorial waters for inspection of their cargo, documentation, and related records.
Now, the UK is hosting talks today on reopening the strait. Virginia voters approving that gerrymandering initiative that was brought on by new Governor Abigail Spanberger. Here's ABC's Lionel Moise.
Voters in Virginia have narrowly approved redrawing the state's congressional map to favor Democrats ahead of November's elections. Former President Obama was among those who argued the redrawing is necessary to counter similar moves in Texas and other states that benefited Republicans.
You can push back against the Republicans trying to give themselves an unfair advantage in the midterms.
Republicans slammed the results, saying Virginia Democrats can't redraw reality, calling it gerrymandering in a purple state.
Former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli has already started the legal fight. He says there'll be 4 constitutional challenges brought to the state's Supreme Court. In Warren County, the sheriff's office investigating after somebody went on a shooting spree. Residents report road signs that are full of holes and about $100,000 worth of damage to equipment owned by the Ben Lomond Connect company. It caused internet outages as well. The sheriff's office says it's looking for a dark-colored car associated with that shooting. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Glock store. You hear me talking about these guys all the time. I love the Glock store. It's my favorite place to shop for firearms. It is the best place in all of Tennessee to train with your firearms. No lane ranges at the Glock store. No. Private indoor shooting rooms. You and a trainer working on real-life scenarios. It is the best training, bar none. And if you've never been to the Glock store, you got a perfect day to come check it out. In a little over a month, Saturday, May 30th, is the Glock store's 6th annual open house. We have been there for a few of these open houses. They're always a great time. Myself, Dan Mandis, Matt Murphy will be in attendance this year as well. They always have the best speakers. They got demonstrations, shooting competitions, vendor tables with factory reps, factory swag to give away, and the biggest and best open to the public free gun gear raffle in all of Nashville, likely the entire country. And I'm telling you, last year they gave away over $25,000 in incredible raffle prizes, plus 3 Glocks, including a Glock store custom Glock that was worth over $2,000. Excuse me. Well, I guess technically I was right. Even when I'm making mistakes, I'm telling the truth. It was worth over $200, and it's worth over $2,000. They're going to be giving away some Glocks this year. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Save the date, Saturday, May 30th. Circle it on your calendar. Set the reminder now. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online. Glockstore.com. Thirty-seven minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Fine, who needs you? Sorry, that's just Mason.
I got stuff to do.
Mason's leaving Ryan in charge of the board. He said, I'm going to go in the back room and I'm gonna go get some work done. I said, you could come hang out in here in the main studio. And he said, I would, but I got stuff to do. So who needs them, right? Am I right? Everybody understands. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. Bobby in Nashville wants to talk about the Pakistan negotiations. Bobby, are you going to send 45-47, and are you even comfortable sending Vance?
Well, I don't want to see either one of them, but this is what kills me. I've always thought the word was Pakistan or Pakistani, How come when somebody else gets in the office, they change it to Pakistani, Afghanistan, and all this kind of crap? But anyway, Chris, how much longer is this negotiation thing's going to go, man? I mean, we give them this, we give them that, we're giving them 5 more days. Brother, we just can't keep giving and giving. We need to put a stop to it right now, say this is the way it is. And if it ain't going to happen, we're going to do this. And also, I want your input on this filibuster, man. We need to nuke it. We need to get John Thune out. These Republicans need to get something going, and we need to get it going fast, brother. What do you think?
Okay, so for starters, on the negotiations, am I the only one who seems to remember when we were originally getting into this conflict and people were talking about regime change, how we said, you know, if you take out leadership, you're going to create a power vacuum and there's going to be competing factions inside Iran? Is that not what we're dealing with right now? It feels like that's what we're dealing with. On the John Thune front, you're absolutely right. He is a 100% rhino. He's been dragging his feet. They should have nuked the filibuster a long time ago. The Democrats are going to get into power. They're not going to be afraid to do it. We're going to have D.C. and Puerto Rico as a state. We're going to have 30 million illegal aliens amnestied. We're going to have the Supreme Court packed with new justices. We're going to lose the conservative majority. It is almost a predetermined outcome should the Democrats ever regain power. And I only tell you this because they've told us this. They have said it numerous times out loud what their plans are should they get back into power. James Carville, Democrat strategist, currently saying it now. There are podcasts. I can't play it on the air because he curses like a sailor. But there are podcasts that he's on now. He's saying the exact same thing. Nancy Pelosi, we have her on tape saying the exact same thing. The Republicans don't fight as hard as the Democrats, and it's infuriating. Everybody knows it. The place that a lot of these Republicans want to be in is the minority, so that way they can act like they're putting up a fight. They can act and talk as tough as they want to do, but they never want to do the work. They never want to do the work. People don't think it'd be like it is, but it do. I'm just letting you know. We'll talk about the Republicans later. I'm actually, you know, we could talk about them now if you want to. We can start talking about them now. You want to hear how lousy the Republicans are. I don't know if you were keeping score at home last night, but we lost the redistricting effort in Virginia. It's still going to be challenged, right? There's still a chance that it doesn't go through. Take that aside. It's gonna count for the 2026 midterms. That's almost predetermined. Abigail Spanberger is absolutely gloating over it. But here's the thing that drives me nuts. The RNC absolutely dropped the ball on this. And do you know what they did? What they decided to focus on? Well, they decided to focus on their rhino buddies like John Cornyn. This is from the National Pulse. Revealed, RNC blew Virginia referendum due to lavish Cornyn spending and misplaced priorities. Virginia voters have narrowly approved a Democrat-drawn mid-decade congressional gerrymander, handing Democrats up to 4 additional U.S. House seats. But how did Republicans lose given the vote was so close and given their massive fundraising advantage? We break it down here. So it was 81,188 votes, 51.3% to 48.7%, more than 95% reporting at the time of the publication from this National Pulse article. The constitutional amendment hands the Democrats-controlled General Assembly power to redraw Virginia's congressional districts through October 31st, 2030. It was passed by the legislature, signed by Governor Abigail Spanberger, HB 29. A snap analysis, the National Pulse shows the yes Democrat side spent $62.3 million, okay, which when you divide it by the 1.5 something million votes, it was about $40.30 per vote. Meanwhile, the no side, the Republicans spent $20 million on this effort. That's it. So $63 million to $20 million. So the Republicans spent about $13.66 per voter. The Democrats spent over $40 per voter. Okay? So that's Democrats spending as much as 3 times per head. Now, closing the 81,188 vote gap on the no side on own efficiency rate would have cost around $1.1 million, just over 1% of what the GOP burned on John Cornyn's primary campaign against Ken Paxton in Texas last month. Even a generous real-world multiplier accounting for diminishing campaign returns lands at just $2 to $4 million. They say that this is an example of dry powder. The National Pulse says the Republican National Committee is sitting on roughly $109 million cash cash on hand, nearly $100 million more than the Democrat National Committee, which has just $15.9 million and is carrying $17.4 million in debt. The Trump-aligned super PAC MAGA Inc. entered 2026 with more than $304 million in the bank by itself. In fact, combining all the major Republican groups leaves the GOP with over $807 million cash on hand in total, which means they would have only had to spend 0.25% of that to total the funds to salvage Virginia. But they didn't. They waste all their money on another rhino like John Cornyn, who is the best dance partner of Jasmine Crockett back when she was in Congress, and they think that this is fine. The Republicans don't know how to fight. They don't even know how to invest. It's infuriating. The Republicans spent $95.1 million on the Cornyn-Paxton primary in Texas. And I think you can make the argument that Paxton is a far better choice in who the Republican Party should have been behind and supporting. They spent $95.1 million on John Cornyn. They spent, like, what are we talking about here? They didn't spend any money comparatively to the Virginia congressional battle, the maps, the redistricting. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. The firm that is behind a lot of the spending, Virginians for Fair Maps, the Losing No campaign, was run by Mike Young, a partner at FP1 Strategies, which was founded by Chris LaCivita. LaCivita is simultaneously the senior campaign consultant for the Cornyn Super PAC, which has spent all the money attacking Ken Paxton and pushing Trump to endorse Cornyn, who has repeatedly stabbed President Trump in the back. $95 million went one way. $20 million went the other. And much of it went through LaCivita's own companies and partners. This is the same Chris LaCivita who, during the 2024 election, caught a lot of heat from conservatives for allegedly misusing donations and campaign funds and unwisely spending money for the Trump campaign. He caught a bunch of heat for it. There were calls for him to be fired. He has a long history of this, is essentially what I'm saying. But a Virginia source tells the National Pulse the money diverted to LaCivita's groups and away from the Republican Party of Virginia county parties was hard to accept. And I quote, "We had no money." Money shouldn't fix everything, but it does help. It's not going to solve every single problem, but it certainly would help. And the Republican Party didn't give any money in the redistricting effort in Virginia, but none. Sean Davis of the Federalist on X said, good thing Republicans spent $100 million on Cornyn. Yep. This is your Republican Party. This is who we have in leadership in the Republican Party. This is where they're putting their money. And we've seen this before. I mean, this isn't like a John Thune thing. This isn't just this is institutionalized. They spent no money on Kerry Lake. And now we have Ruben Gallego as a senator in Arizona. And what's he doing? He's just hobnobbing, rubbing elbows, and spending campaign funds on his wedding day with his buddy Eric Swalwell, doing God knows what. So this is fine. It's like the dog. It's the meme. The dog's in the house is on fire. This is fine. When it comes to the redistricting campaign, there is some pressure to strike down the new map after the congressional gerrymandering. I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't go through, but it does look like they're going to be fighting tooth and nail to get this overturned.
Approving an overhaul of congressional districts that favor the left.
The outcome could have major national implications when the midterms roll around. Madeline Rivera is live in Washington with the latest for us. Maddie.
Hi, good morning. So the new map takes effect immediately. The plan changes Virginia from 6 Democratic and 5 Republican House districts to a 10-to-1 split. The 4 left-leaning seats that Dems could pick up would give them an edge in the midterms as the GOP tries to cling on to a tight House majority. The vote has reignited criticisms of hypocrisy on both sides. Democrats say the redistricting effort is necessary to counter President Trump's push for GOP states to redraw their maps. Former President Obama saying, "Congratulations, Virginia." Republicans are trying to tilt the midterm elections in their favor, but they haven't done it yet. Thanks for showing us what it looks like to stand up for our democracy and fight back. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger, who once spoke out against partisan gerrymandering, is defending the effort in her state.
I mean, let's be honest, they all spoke out against partisan gerrymandering. Barack Obama has spoken out against partisan gerrymandering. Abigail Spanberger, all these Democrats have, and now they're gonna as one friend would put it, crow about their win.
She says as we watch other states go along with those demands without voter input, Virginians refuse to let that stand. We responded the right way at the ballot box.
Do you know how they frame the question on the ballot? Do you know that? It is the craziest framing that you could ever see in your entire life. If you had no idea what was going on, and chances are if you were a conservative, low-propensity voter in the state of Virginia, you didn't because the RNC spent absolutely no money educating anybody on what was going on, and you went to the ballot box that day, and you looked at the question, you would have no idea what it meant. This is how they framed it. Ready? Are you ready for this? I don't think you're ready. I hope you're sitting down. Proposed constitutional amendment. Question. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? Yes or no? What? What does that even mean? It sounds like if you vote against this, you don't want elections to be fair. So, it's very confusing. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? Yes or no? Quick, there's a line. Make a decision. This is fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. The house is on fire. Don't stop asking questions. Everything's fine.
Spanberger says the move is temporary, but it is expected to last until at least 2030 when the new census happens. The vote's not exactly a landslide. Check this out. The yes vote has a narrow lead of about 3 percentage points. Former Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin suggests that shows how divided folks are about this issue. He says the race was much closer than the left expected because Virginians know a 10-to-1 map is not Virginia. I urge the Virginia Supreme Court to rule against this unconstitutional process that will disenfranchise millions of Virginians. There have been multiple lawsuits, including whether the ballot language was appropriate and whether the process to place the amendment on the ballot was legal.
I mean, there's been multiple lawsuits about the ballot question language. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? Yes or no? I don't see any issues with that, do you? Of course not. This is perfect. This is fine. Everything's fine. We'll be staying tuned on what happens next in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There are going to be lawsuits. It's going to go up to the Supreme Court. None of that is probably going to affect the upcoming midterms. It'll probably be decided and enacted after that. But there is hope out there that this 10-to-1 map is only temporary. It's 9:51. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Aaron Parker over at Parker Safes and Vaults in Shelbyville. They're our veteran-owned, family-run safe and vault door business right here in Middle Tennessee. And let's be honest, a lot of us want a safe, but we have no idea where to begin. Well, I got a great place for you to start. It's at the Parker Safes YouTube page. You search for Parker Safes on YouTube, and you'll find a detailed video review of every single safe that they have in stock. And after that, then you can give a call to our friends over at Parker Safes and Vault, Aaron and his sons, and they'll help you take care of everything. Choosing what safe is best for you and your budget. Offer advice on the best place to put it. They'll deliver it, and they'll carefully install it themselves, discreetly and professionally. Aaron just told me that they have great deals going on right now and plenty of safes in stock and ready to go. These aren't the average big box store cabinets built for marketing that can be tipped over by a teenager. No. These are legit quality safes from brands like American Security, Liberty, Rhino, Heyman, and more. Now, you can get a great safe today by calling 931-842-6445, 931-842-6445, or you can hit the website, parkersafes.com. And keep in mind that if you buy a safe from Parker Safes and Vaults and you mention the Chris Hand Show, you're going to land yourself a free pistol safe while supplies last, parkersafes.com.
Up ahead here on WTN, Iran is still holding 2 ships that it seized early this morning, and a beer maker plans to invest billions of dollars in the U.S. after one of the biggest corporate missteps in history. Those stories at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The headlines with our own Joan Jones on the way in less than 3 minutes, and Joan was texting me during the last break. She said Abigail Spanberger was on CNN celebrating the just unbelievable victory for Democrats last night in Virginia, and that while she was doing it, how did Joan put it? GOP gremlins.
The gremlins got in the system.
The gremlins got in the system. This is Abigail Spanberger and Wolf Blitzer.
Governor, thanks so much for joining us. What was your immediate reaction when you learned last night that voters had approved the redistricting referendum that you supported?
So I was not surprised. The referendum, voting yes, and passing it. Because as I have been out across Virginia, whether I'm out campaigning for the referendum, at events related to duties as governor, I have heard time and time again from.
I think we're having I think we're going to have we have an issue with the signal right now, Governor. But I want you to stand by. We'll take a quick break. We'll resolve this. We'll fix it, and then we'll resume our discussion right after this.
I actually think it's the best she's ever sounded.
Yeah.
I didn't have to listen
Agreed.
to her. I didn't have to listen to her as much as I would have. You know, it's wild. So the vote ended up 51-48, which actually showed that the 6-5 Democrat to Republican map that was currently in place was actually one of the fairest maps in the country.
Yep.
That's the case that Scott Jennings made last night on CNN.
Virginia literally had the fairest maps in the nation. They had a 6-5 map, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation, they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things, you can put something over the line, even something as egregious as this.
Well, yeah, they had all the money, but let's be fair. We had to make sure that MAGA patriot John Cornyn gets reelected and doesn't lose his primary to whatever he is, Ken Paxton, that loser. We can't have that happening, right? So we had to spend $95 million last month on John Cornyn and only $20 million on the redistricting effort, right? It only makes sense.
This whole thing has driven Spanberger's approval ratings down into the toilet. She lied to the people of Virginia. They had to write a ballot question that was a joke. They drew maps that were a joke. Now you're going to have huge chunks of rural Virginia represented by 5 or 6 Democrats who all live in northern Virginia within about 15 miles of each other. It's a complete joke. Everybody knows it. And there's a reason that all these national Democrats and all their money came into Virginia because, they don't really care about the people of Virginia. They just care about power.
They just care about power. We've been saying this over and over and over again. I wish the RNC would fight a little bit harder. One more time, that ballot question. This is how it was framed on the ballot yesterday for redistricting. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? Super clear. Crystal clear. As clear as the day is long. Got it. Hey, I got another story for you that ties into the Commonwealth of Virginia, specifically Charlottesville. And we'll talk about that story and how it was used to demonize white people and the president for the last decade. On the way, it's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, it's 10:01, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 3 ships now report being fired on by Iran while transiting the Strait of Hormuz, all just since President Trump extended the ceasefire 2 of them were seized by Iran. Here's Lucas Toblin at Fox News.
Early this morning, the first attack by Iranian gunboats took place in the Strait of Hormuz, causing heavy damage to the bridge, redrive the ship, of course. The second attack took place 8 miles off the coast of Iran, the third attack nearby. Ship tracking shows a Panamanian flagged and Liberian flagged vessels attacked and seized. Iran's state broadcaster says the 2 vessels are currently inside Iran's territorial waters, being held for inspection of their cargo, documentation, and related records.
Now, Axios is reporting that the president is now giving 3 to 5 days more time to that ceasefire to present a coherent counteroffer, or, he says, a full-on military response is back on the table. Here in Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee has signed 2 bills. They deal with the illegal immigration. The first makes it a crime for an illegal to be in the state 90 days after a judge orders that person to leave the country. The other punishes local governments that fail to use the federal E-Verify system to check employees' eligibility to work in the U.S. These are the first of a package of 9 immigration-focused bills in the state legislature. Devin Nunes is out as CEO of President Trump's social media company. The parent company of Truth Social said in a statement that Kevin McGurn, who had been an advisor to the company, is taking over. It didn't give any reason, however, for Nunes' departure, although Wall Street notes that the company recorded a net loss of more than $712 million in 2025. And the Dylan Mulvaney debacle is clearly over at Bud Light. The parent company there, Anheuser-Busch, has just announced this morning that it's increasing its investment in the U.S. to $600 million over 2 years to expand brewery capacity, worker training, and veteran hiring. Anheuser-Busch says it'll open 15 new training centers and veteran programs using that money. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrials are up 356 points and the NASDAQ is up 270. That is the latest news. Stick around for weather. Up next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 5 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. You can listen to the show on all the apps, iHeart, TuneIn. You can listen on the FM dial. You can watch the show as well. Super Talk TV is up and running. with one of the most based chats in all of YouTube. We're on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Hit like, hit subscribe. It's free to do. Helps us grow the digital footprint of the radio station. That makes a big difference when we're trying to land big name interviews. So you guys can absolutely help us out over there. If this audience could just make 10 to 15 fake profiles each and hit subscribe, we'd have the biggest interviews on the planet. So it's up to you. Ball's in your court. We appreciate you helping us out. I want to talk about what happened yesterday and get some reaction from you. There's a lot of black-pilled conservatives, and I don't blame you for being black-pilled, just to be perfectly honest. But they think nothing's ever going to happen. No one's ever going to be held accountable. Yet what we saw yesterday kind of spits in the face of that theory, as the FBI director Kash Patel and the acting the acting attorney general Todd Blanche came in and announced some major charges on the Southern Poverty Law Center, charging them with fraud, money laundering, and manufacturing racism to justify its existence. I love this story. I feel so vindicated on so many levels. You remember when we had the Nazis walking around Nashville and everybody's like, that's weird. That's weird. Your swastika flag there, sir, it still has the creases in it. It looks like you just got it out of the package. It looks like a brand new swastika flag. And I don't know about you, but I like my Nazis with used flags. I like the flag that has a little bit of dirt on it. You brought it a few places. But it showed us, and you could see, these guys are moving in such a uniformed way. It feels so inorganic. It feels so fake. And I don't know. I don't think that there's a Nazi problem in this country the way leftists do. But what we learned yesterday is there really isn't, actually. In fact, there's so little of a Nazi problem in this country, a white nationalist issue, that they have to fake it. They have to make it up because it's not there. And if it's not there, there's no reason for places like the SPLC to even exist at all. This story is bananas. Let's start with FBI Director Kash Patel. It was Todd Blanche and Kash Patel. They came out. They had a big old press conference. This is Kash Patel announcing the investigation and how it led to the charges yesterday.
What we're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive, sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups.
It doesn't make any sense. It reminds me of an old quote of Justin Trudeau's. Do you remember? It was like, if you kill your enemies, they win. It's like, what? If we don't fund the Nazis win. Is that what was going on here? That's exactly what was going on here.
I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front.
Now, I don't know if all those names jump out to you. There's some oldies but goodies. The Ku Klux Klan, everybody's familiar. But the one that sticks out to a lot of people is Unite the Right. Why? Where does that ring a bell? Oh, that's right. Charlottesville, Virginia. When there was a protest because they were doing what commies do and removing history in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth, which is, it's funny when you look at what's happening in Virginia now. It's like, this is what happens when commies take over. You're seeing the fact that they manufactured the tiki torches. They manufactured the racism. They manufactured the hate. And that manufactured event, that inorganic, fake racism aspect of that our argument of taking down those statues was completely fabricated, and it led to decades-long accusations that Donald Trump was the most evil racist ever because of the quote that was misquoted over and over and over again. The hoax that was perpetrated, and so still to this day gets brought up. Remember, Joe Biden ran because Donald Trump said very fine people on good sides. It was that Charlottesville rally that really made Joe Biden run. This is still going on, but it's important to remember where we were and really highlight how that event started. Do you remember this?
And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
That's where the media stopped it for years. They never let the other 30 seconds of that clip play. They stopped it right there. They said Donald Trump said there was very fine people on both sides, that evil, dastardly, racist, Nazi, bigot. Oh my gosh, we knew it. We knew. We knew he was a racist. Back when he was getting awards with Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali, he was biding his time because that's what these evil Nazis do. They never played the rest of the clip, which sounded like this.
You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
You know, if we were correcting the record, he would have to go back. We'd have to edit the tape. Maybe we could do it with AI. Maybe somebody out there can do this with AI. And I'm not talking about the white nationalists. Instead, you should say, and I'm not talking about the SPLC employees. I totally condemn the SPLC employees, because what we're learning today is that that's what that was. The Unite the Right event was completely fabricated. The tiki torches were bought and paid for by the SPLC. Is that what we're learning? It sounds like that's what we're learning, and that's what was unveiled yesterday by the FBI and the DOJ as they announced these charges. It is insanity.
In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred.
He's absolutely right. I mean, they created this boogeyman in the corner of white supremacy, and we have been dealing with this for the past decade, probably even longer. The charges that they're looking at, the years they're looking at, is 2013 to 2023. So 13 years from previous, right? 13 years before now. And I think it's important to point out the ripple effects of what this caused, because Joe Biden, we got him as president, in his own words, because of what the SPLC did in Charlottesville.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging.
Bulging veins.
From their necks, carrying Nazi swastikas.
That they had just bought off Amazon.
And chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile.
That was provided to them in copy points from the SPLC.
That was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally.
The entire narrative built around the left when it comes to Donald Trump was just shattered yesterday. You understand that? Like how big of a story this is? I haven't seen it on CNN this morning yet. Maybe they'll be talking about it soon. They're going to say that the SPLC only used this money to pay informants. Right. Right. We'll hear more from acting attorney, acting Attorney General Todd Blanche in a moment, because he sat down with Laura Ingraham last night to detail more of this. But first, acting AG Blanche and FBI Director announced a total of 11 charges against the SPLC yesterday.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years.
You know what we like to call this on the internet? False flags. Charlottesville was a false flag. Funded, planned, orchestrated by the SPLC. And that false flag shaped a narrative for more than a decade. God bless these guys for doing what they're doing and bringing these charges, honestly. You know, the Biden administration, they actually were looking into this. And then, I don't know, for some reason, they just stopped one day. It's I don't know. What could have made them stop? Your guess is as good as mine. This is Todd Blanche sitting down with Laura Ingraham.
Mr. Acting Attorney General, how did they get away with this for so long?
I mean, it's a great question. I said today during the press conference that we know that this investigation was opened during the Biden administration and then mysteriously closed. I really don't have any information about why it was closed.
Could be anything. Could be nothing. There probably wasn't enough evidence, right? It's probably were like, dude, nah. I think it's actually far more likely that Trump is just an evil racist bigot than the SPLC was doing this.
And then we started again last year, the FBI did, working with the U.S. Attorney in Alabama, and it's extraordinarily egregious. You just talked about it, but imagine a donor to the SPLC if they were told, by the way, we're going to give the money you're giving us to the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? Like, in some cases, over $1 million.
Actually, I would imagine that those donors to the SPLC would be like, oh, that's an awesome plan, actually. That's sick. I wish I would have thought of it. I'm sure the donors were lining up and big fans of this. And if you think that nobody knew what was going on behind the scenes at the SPLC, I got some oceanfront property for you in Arizona.
I mean, it's incredible.
Now, they say they're no longer using these informants in this way and that it was necessary because they had all sorts of threats against the organization, firebombing threats, and other acts of purported violence. And that's why they had to use these informants. And to that, you say?
Well, to that I say, for one, the indictment charges all the way through 2023. So I'm here to speak about what they're doing right now, but that indictment charges a long period of time through 2023. And second, and more importantly, there's no allegation or information in the indictment that suggests they shared that information with law enforcement. They have communicated.
They said they did.
Well, they have communicated when they so chose with law enforcement over the years. There's no information that we have that suggests that the money that they were paying to these informants and these members of these organizations, they then turned around and shared what they learned with law enforcement. To the contrary, or else we would have known from their own words that they had given this money to these guys, and we didn't know it.
Todd Blanche says the cover story from the SPLC that they we're just paying informants to get information is bovine scatology. Here's the rundown. $1 million to the National Alliance affiliate, $300,000 to the Aryan Nations affiliate, $270 to the Unite the Right member, $140K to former National Alliance chairman, $73K to former KKK members, $19,000 to the American Front. It's just, what? What? Are these even real racist organizations? I mean, honestly, what are we doing? This thing is just bananas. This could be one of the biggest stories. And I'll be honest with you, it gives me a lot of hope that maybe we do see some charges for a lot of the individuals involved in Russiagate. Maybe we do see some charges for the individuals involved in the impeachment hoax of 2019. Maybe this is the first domino to fall in a larger grand scheme of accountability. We can only hope. We can only pray. I got more comments on the way for you from Todd Blanche as he sat down with Laura Ingraham. Plus, we'll talk about some Democrats who are still using the Charlottesville hoax, even today, as a talking point and a piece of propaganda. How quickly until this goes away, or will the Democrats continue to use this in future political stumping and speaking? I wonder if they'll even get the memo, or if this lie about Charlottesville is just so big now that the Democrats will believe that this indictment, these charges, that's the hoax. We'll talk about this and more. We'll take some of your phone calls as well. 615-737-9986. It's 1022. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And if you're dealing with back pain, neck pain, sciatica, herniated or bulging disc, spinal stenosis, or even numbness or weakness in your arms, legs, fingers, or toes, you don't have to live that way. And I'm here to tell you about a deal from the Wellness Institute of Nashville that has my seal of approval that could absolutely change your life today. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. This is as advanced as it gets. The Wellness Institute has the best tech, from the HydroWave machine that is going to stimulate your stem cells for healing at the cellular level, to robotic lasers, anti-gravity machines, cryotherapy, and more. These guys are going to fix your pain, and they're not going to offer surgery. They're not going to point you towards opioids, and they're not going to suggest painful injections. What they will do is they'll look at your MRI, bring it with you, and they'll analyze it, they'll break it down, and they'll tell you what's wrong. They'll come up with a plan to get you back to a pain-free life. They'll take x-rays if needed, and they'll walk you through exactly what's happening. It starts with a phone call. A pain-free life is a call away. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. Take advantage of that deal today. Painisbad.com is the website. That's painisbad.com.
up, traffic in the Strait of Hormuz still at a standstill. We'll bring you the latest. Also, will a Super Bowl be coming to Nashville? Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I went on the record yesterday, Joan.
Yeah, and?
Nobody's going to have fun if the Super Bowl comes to Nashville.
Why?
Because it's going to be just a headache. Nobody wants all these visitors here.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's not going to make anybody as much money as they think it would make them.
Yeah.
And you know what would actually make this town a bit more money? How about an NFL team that can consistently get home playoff games?
Oh.
I'm just saying.
I'd like to see a baseball team here.
Me and you both.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
It's got to have a dome. I got to be able to go in the middle of July, in the middle of August, and I think that would be the revenue driver there because you'd have all these bachelor and bachelorette parties coming in for the weekend, and they'd be like, man, let's just get 4 hours out of the heat, and we'll go to the game, and it doesn't matter who's playing.
I know.
Plus, then you'd pull in all those loser Yankee fans and great Red Sox fans and Mets fans and stuff like that whenever they come to town.
There needs to be Pedal Tavern parking.
Ooh.
Yeah, just a thought.
I like the idea. Here's a thought that got Donald Trump in trouble for years and years and years. Very fine people on both sides.
And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
Now many people are wondering, were there ever even any neo-Nazis or white nationalists in the crowd at all?
Uh-huh.
I mean, honestly, and I think that you can point to this event in Charlottesville and say that's the day that they kind of said R.I.P. to the Commonwealth of Virginia and the communists started taking over because they started ripping down all those statues after that. I mean, in a short order after that, we had the Black Lives Matter protests, all the statues down Monument Ave in Richmond getting torn down. I think the statue, if I recall correctly, wasn't it a Lewis and Clark statue that they were removing? Or was it a Robert E. Lee statue?
They removed the Robert E. Lee statue.
But then they went even so far they removed a Lewis and Clark statue in Charlottesville as well because Sacagawea was on the statue, and that's racist.
My goodness.
That's racist. But these communists remove history, and then they take over, and we're seeing that in Virginia. We got a lot more comments from the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, that we're going to bring you on the way. Plus, one member of Congress from the state of Tennessee, no less, wants the SPLC to be charged for more crimes. We'll talk about that when we get back. It's 10:30. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories and more trouble brewing in the Middle East as the Strait of Hormuz remains at a standstill this morning.
The U.S. has said that its blockade will continue in the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran has said that blockade is a violation of the current ceasefire. There were a couple of ships that were seized that the Iranians say tried to sneak out of the Strait of Hormuz to exit, and then there was also a ship that was fired upon. There were no injuries, but we understand that ship suffered serious damage.
ABC's Marcus Moore reporting a traffic stop on I-40 in Haywood County, West Tennessee, ended as a big drug bust. News 2's Peyton Kennedy.
The K-9 detected narcotics, and agents located a secret compartment that contained about 16 pounds of fentanyl plus horse tranquilizer. The Drug Task Force says that these drugs would sell for about $500,000 on the street.
Investigators say the drugs were coming from Compton, California, and headed to Knoxville. Word that the Trump administration is in advanced talks on a rescue for the struggling Spirit Airlines. It comes as Spirit is reportedly facing imminent liquidation. On Monday, President Trump told CNBC's Squawk Box he'd love someone to buy Spirit to rescue its 14,000 jobs. Axios reporting the city of Nashville is on Super Bowl watch. It comes after sportscaster Dan Patrick said on his show that he's heard that the Music City will be hosting the big game in 2030. And in fact, he said that deal is signed and ready to go. But sources tell Axios that nothing is official and no announcement is imminent. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They can be your friends, too. You have a chance to meet them this weekend. All the guys are going to be out at the Nashville Home Expo Friday through Sunday. Go check those guys out. Ask them about the Spring Breathe Easy package. Say, is it as good as Chris Hand says? And they're going to tell you, yes, it absolutely is. The Spring Breathe Easy package is a powerful package that includes an AC tune-up, a professional indoor air quality check, and it's going to make sure that the air that your family is breathing is the cleanest and healthiest air possible. They're going to give you a dust inspection, a premium air duct cleaning that removes the built-up debris hiding deep inside your system, but they'll also install a whole home germicidal system, which will help reduce airborne contaminants. And with premium service, you'll get a bonus unit fog deodorizer, which will leave your system so fresh and so clean, just like spring itself. Now, you're getting all this value for just $11.99 on 1.5 to 3 ton systems, regularly $1,800, and you can get it for $15.99 on 3.5 to 5 ton units, regularly $20.99. Take advantage of this deal today. It's going to be gone fast. 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, or find them online, busybhvac.com.
Lingering rain into Saturday morning. We should dry out the rest of the weekend in the 70s. Then another risk for strong thunderstorms coming Monday next week.
You're listening to the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred.
There wasn't enough racism. We needed more racism. Will you donate money to the SPLC so we can fund some racism? Please, please, guys, we need more Nazis. Have you seen the Biden economy? We don't have enough money to pay the racists, to fake the hate crimes, guys. We need more donations. We need more money. We need more racists. Donald Trump is a bigot. Look at all these racists to prove it. The story is absolutely insane. I'm excited to talk about it with you. 615-737-9986 is the number to call. You can text in at the same number. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water, LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. In a press release from the Office of Public Affairs for the DOJ, it was revealed that the SPLC was charged by an Alabama grand jury, which is one of the best parts. Good luck in Alabama. With 11 counts of wire fraud, false statements to a federally insured bank, conspiracy to commit concealment, and money laundering. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. According to the press release, an indictment says that starting in the 1980s, the SPLC began operating a covert network of individuals who were either associated with violent and extremist groups, such as the Ku Klux Klan. It says this, and I quote, at the SPLC's direction, unbeknownst to donors, some of their donated money was being used to fund leaders and organizers of racist groups at the same time that the SPLC was denouncing the same groups on their websites. The SPLC also allegedly funneled more than $3 million in donated funds to individuals who are associated with groups such as the National Socialist Movement, the United Klans of America, the Aryan Nations, and the Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club between 2014 and 2023. We're breaking all this down here on Super Talk. You're welcome to join the show at any time, 615-737-9986. The SPLC is manufacturing racism to justify its existence. That's what Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a statement. Using donor money to allegedly profit off Klansmen cannot go unchecked. And I mean, they got the numbers. And the numbers don't look good. $270,000 went to a Unite the Right member, which was the group that organized the Charlottesville hoax. They paid $1 million to the National Alliance affiliate, $300,000 to the Aryan Nations affiliate, $140,000 to the former National Alliance chairman. Former KKK members are being paid right around $73,000. And $19,000 to the American Front president and felon. You know, it's so funny because you'll see these racists and always online, you're like, it smells like feds. It smells like this isn't real. And sure enough, what this tells me is that this is fake. It always was fake. America is not a racist nation. We elected a black president twice. I thought that should have been, really the cherry on top, that this isn't a racist country. But they want it to be a racist country because if they don't have it be a racist country, they can't raise any money. And if you can't find the racists, you got to make the racists. And that's what the SPLC was doing. It's so crazy. And the fact that this hoax went on for as many years as it did. And even today, it's still getting pushed. The hoax is still happening. So we're reacting to this in real time as this story unravels today. And Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche revealed yesterday on the Laura Ingraham program that this investigation was mysteriously closed during the Biden administration.
Mr. Acting Attorney General, how did they get away with this for so long?
I mean, it's a great question. I said today during the press conference that we know that this investigation was open during the Biden administration and then mysteriously closed. I really don't have any information about why it was closed.
Could be anything. Loosen up the tinfoil hat. We don't know why they closed it. It could have been anything.
And then we started again last year. The FBI did, working with the U.S. Attorney in Alabama. And it's extraordinarily egregious. You just talked about it. But imagine a donor to the SPLC if they were told, by the way, we're going to give the money you're giving us to the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? Like, in some cases, over $1 million. I mean, it's incredible.
Now, they say they're no longer using these informants in this way and that it was necessary because they had all sorts of threats against the organization, firebombing threats and other acts of purported violence. And that's why they had to use these informants. And to that, you say?
Well, to that I say, for one, the indictment charges all the way through 2023. So I'm here to speak about what they're doing right now, but that indictment charges a long period of time through 2023. And second, and more importantly, there's no allegation or information in the indictment that suggests they shared that information with law enforcement. They have communicated.
They said they did.
Well, they have communicated when they so chose with law enforcement over the years. There's no information that we have that suggests that the money that they were paying to these informants and these members of these organizations, they then turned around and shared what they learned with law enforcement. To the contrary, or else we would have known from their own words that they had given this money to these guys, and we didn't know it.
Bovine scatology, says Todd Blanche. Your defense holds no merit. There's nothing behind it. It is a paper tiger. Well, you would have told us. We would have known. We would have been up to speed. Still, to this day, Democrats use the SPLC as a talking point. Just 4 months ago, I mean, these comments aged like milk. Jamie Raskin on the SPLC.
Now, in other times, Democrats and Republicans alike would rely on the Southern Poverty Law Center to help us keep track of the movements of violent white supremacy in the country. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a vigilant voice in civil society against radical white nationalist violence and extremism, neo-Nazism, and other forces across the political spectrum that spread organized hate from any quarter. The president, however, wants to undermine civil society organizations and to reduce our ability to defend ourselves against the virus of racial violence. Now,
thank goodness for groups like the SPLC to protect us. We wouldn't have been able to protect ourselves. Brian in Old Hickory, you're up first on Super Talk. What's up, Brian?
Man, on the road.
What do you think about this story?
Well, let's listen to the words and then look at the name of this place. Southern Poverty Law Center. Come on, man. You know that they're trying to play on the bleeding heart white people. And that's what they got. They got a lot of white people that work for that place. You know that? Have you looked at the employment?
Toxic empathy. Toxic empathy.
Unbelievably stupid. Because when you believe just what a society tells you, you're not in it yourself. Listen, most white people haven't grown up around black people, or especially in the hood. And I'm not saying they're bad. All of them are bad people, but damn, all white people ain't racist.
No.
Come on, man. I mean,
it's like I had a caller the other day. I don't know if you remember, but he's like, oh, white people are bad. I'm like, how many white people died in the Civil War to end slavery?
Right.
How many white people marched in the Civil Rights Movement? How many white people voted for Barack Obama? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, well, and I also take exception to you saying we had the first black president, because, Clinton was the first black president.
You see him hit that sax?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying Barack Obama was half white. So let's give 50% where it's deserved, depending on what day it was when he was black. It's like Joe Biden said. And but Todd Blanche said something last night that I really loved, that Laura kept pressing him on these questions, on more details, which the media does, like everybody's going to give up everything they did. This is the smartest administration that's been in office in 50 years, probably. But what he said was, it's ongoing. She wanted to nail him down as to, we got it, right? We got everything we need. No, it's ongoing, which means to me that it's ongoing, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, like I said, I think that this might be the first domino to fall, and I'm praying that it is.
Yeah, me too. These developments as they come through the Trump administration, this stuff would never have come out in another administration, not even another Republican administration. And I'm a little pissed at Trump right now for playing. He's being easy on Iran. I say let's get busy. Let's get busy, and I don't think the 4 to 6 timeline was correct anyway, because it's such a dynamic situation. He does want to give grace, but sometimes that comes back to bite you in the ass, and I don't like that. So,
yeah, I hear you.
Bro. Y'all have a great day.
I appreciate it. I think one of the most infuriating things about this SPLC story is the fact that it has now been proven that the Charlottesville tiki torches were a complete hoax. It was fabricated. That wasn't real. Yet they ran with it for years and years and years. Never forget what they said about the Orange Man.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? I've condemned neo-Nazis.
They never played
I've
that.
condemned many different groups.
Never heard that.
But not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists. You also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did.
Those are the receipts. Why doesn't President Trump condemn racism? His own words and actions tell you why. He's a racist.
Oh.
Okay, I'm being told we have it. Thank you. Run it, please.
Excuse me, to protest, excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
That was President Trump saying that very fine people were marching alongside neo-Nazis and skinheads and white supremacists, people who had chanted Jews will not. Yes, those people, the anti-Semites in Charlottesville.
They were tapping into the deep and dark vein of what's known today as replacement theory. Now, most people watching that would be outraged. The former president said this.
They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Also, fun fact, replacement theory isn't really a theory. They call you a racist for acknowledging that it exists, and then they tell you at the same time it's good that it's happening. Back to Anderson Cooper.
Very fine people among Americans that night chanting Nazi slogans.
Man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists.
They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power, they have meaning, and when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
And I'm not talking
for years, we heard this.
about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists.
They never played the full tape. That was 2018, 2019, 2023, 2024. Oh, they're tapping into replacement theory. Oh, how could they stop the noticing? Stop the noticing. Fun fact: there was a 2018 documentary. This is fun, where it was called Alt-Right Age of Rage. Okay, this 2018 documentary, and during this 2018 documentary, speaking of replacement theory, I'm going off on a tangent here, but they were talking with a former SPLC senior fellow, if I recall. They were in the office of a former SPLC senior fellow, and captured on the wall during this clip is this Post-it note, and they're tracking the white population, non-Hispanic whites in the United States. And if you look, I mean, like, that's in their office. Replacement theory is just a theory. But this is an SPLC senior fellow's office. It said non-Hispanic whites, population of the U.S., 1920, 90, 1940, 90, 1980, 79, 2000, 69, 2012, 64, 2013, 62. I mean, it's a theory. You're racist for noticing, but it's also a good thing that it's happening. Got it. Hey, real quick, Carl in the borough, what do you got?
Well, I just wanted to say this stuff is fascinating to me, and I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised here. And for all my life, the party switched. But really, it comes down to this, and these are people that I know. They're ignorant to the history of the Democrat Party, and they refuse to accept their history and humble themselves. The one example I want to say is Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat. He showed the film Birth of a Nation about the KKK, which glorified it, and he was a Democrat. FDR was a Democrat, but and on and on. And so I want to know, when did the Republican Party ever support white supremacy like the Democrats? It never happened.
Exactly. You're 100% right. The Democrats were the KKK, and what this indictment proves is that Democrats still funding the KKK. Weird how that happens. It's 10:51. We'll take more of your phone calls on the way. 615-737-9986. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. And everyone knows, every homeowner knows, when your foundation is compromised, nothing else is going to feel right. But did you know that minor waterproofing issue that you might be having in your basement or crawl space right now could be weakening your home's foundation? It actually could. There's a couple things that it could be doing. It's not doing anything good, I'll tell you that much. It could be leading to mold. You don't want your family breathing that in. Or it could be leading to wood rot, which is going to compromise your home's foundation. And when you have foundation issues, you got big problems. Don't let it become a foundation issue, the waterproofing issue in your basement or in your crawl space. Call United Structural Systems. Since 1994, USS has helped thousands of Tennessee families repair and protect their foundations, their crawl spaces, their basements after big storms. The focus is on doing the job right the first time, so that way you can feel confident in your home again. And USS has done this for over 30,000 families in Middle Tennessee. These guys are the absolute best. They're not going to send a sales guy worried about his quota. They're going to send an expert worried about the waterproofing. So if you've noticed cracks, moisture, shifting after severe weather, don't wait. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or find them online, USSTN.com.
Operation Epic Fury update, and FBI Director Kash Patel fires back. Details coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. We've been talking about the SPLC. I got Jeremiah texting me. Jeremiah, he's a liberal. He'll tell me he's not, but he is. A black listener. That's great. I love our black listeners. I love our white listeners. I think we have a few Asians too. I love them all. Love them all. You listen to the show. I appreciate you, whether we agree or disagree. But I had made the comment, white people fought to end slavery. And he said, your argument's crap. How many white people fought to keep slavery or to keep segregation? So I just responded with, who won those battles? I haven't heard anything back. Andy Ogles was sitting down with Benny Johnson talking about what's going on with the SPLC, and he's got some questions. He also wants to know if the Southern Poverty Law Center should be held accountable for Charlie Kirk's murder because the SPLC named him one of the top leaders in hate in America before he was gunned down.
That this conspiracy that was built by the left to paint the right as racist and Nazi and violent is totally fabricated. So that begs the question: this heat map that they created, this vile contempt for Republicans, how did that play into Charlie Kirk's murder? Were they there on January 6th? Like, you have millions upon millions of dollars. I mean, even in Nashville, you had the Patriot Front. They were posing as Nazis, marching in Nashville, right? You have a conservative organization, several in my district, that are on this heat map of being, the alt-right hate groups. And even here in D.C., where you had someone go into the Family Research Council and shot at a security guard. These types of things, there's a pattern and violence that follows this heat map, that follows what they were doing and what they were paying these conspiracies to incite violence against Republicans and to have people like me targeted. I mean, I have 24-hour security because of this type of rhetoric that is leveled against conservatives in this country, and that should be a crime, and kudos to the DOJ for going after it.
Amen. If you're watching this on Super Talk TV, you'll see the heat map of hate that the SPLC put together. These people are insane. I love that Andy Ogles brought up the Nazis marching in Nashville. Nobody thought that passed the smell test when it happened in real time. They just, a bunch of guys just jump out of a U-Haul with their nicely creased Nazi flags, brand new. No, it's not real. Clearly. What we're learning today, none of it's real. It's inorganic. It's fabricated. Nina texted in. She said, sounds like the SPLC needed Waymo racists. They did. They had to pay some people for them. Also, we had a poll going on YouTube a little while ago. What makes you more nervous, a Waymo self-driving cab or illegal alien truckers? 88% say illegal alien truckers. That poll's up on the YouTube channel if you want to go over there and vote in it. It's 11 o'clock. We got a lot more on the way. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heads up, drivers in Williamson County. We've got rolling roadblocks to fix potholes. 65 southbound right there at Moore's Lane. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. 5 minutes, I should say. Operation Epic Fury. Even though President Trump's announced an extension to a ceasefire deal he says is indefinite, some skirmishes are taking place. Iran fired on 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and only a few ships have been able to navigate it. This is the president claims negotiations could restart soon. We get more from ABC's Karen Travers, who says there's been no confirmation of any talks between the two sides.
It's open-ended, and that's different than what we have heard from the president in previous rounds of deadlines and other threats that he has made, where he has given Iran 48 hours, several days, 2 weeks. This one doesn't have a clear timeline. The president said last night that this new extension of the ceasefire is going to last until Iran submits a proposal, and he says it has to be a, quote, unified proposal.
FBI FBI Director Kash Patel against accusations of public intoxication and missing work outlined in a published article for The Atlantic over the weekend. ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky has the details.
Patel is now suing for defamation and lashing out at reporters.
I can say unequivocally that I never listen to the fake news mafia. And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job.
The Atlantic article said members of his security detail had difficulty waking Patel because he was seemingly intoxicated. It also said a request for breaching equipment normally used by SWAT and hostage rescue teams to quickly gain entry into buildings was made last year because Patel had been unreachable behind locked doors.
Add 2 more states to the list of those signing settlements with Roblox. ABC's Jim Ryan says West Virginia and Alabama have reached agreements with the wildly popular gaming platform.
The Alabama and West Virginia settlements are almost identical to the one that Nevada signed last week. Before allowing the chat feature to function in Alabama, for example, the state's chief counsel, Catherine Robertson, says
Roblox is going to require all users to undergo age assurance procedures,
including facial recognition. Critics of the gaming platform allege child safety issues in Roblox user-made games, including explicit or violent content and sexual predators who prey on children. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Well, a robot built by Sony is now competing with and sometimes beating professional table tennis players. Called Ace, the machine uses artificial intelligence to learn the game through experience rather than being programmed shot by shot. Researchers say it plays under standard rules and reacts in real time to speed and spin. They call it a major milestone for bringing AI out of simulations and into the real physical world. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to the show on all the apps, iHeart, TuneIn. You can listen on the FM dial. You can watch the show as well. Super Talk TV is up and running on YouTube and Rumble. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate you doing so, growing the digital footprint of the radio station. And if you need a reason to watch us on Super Talk TV, for all the audio that you hear on your radio, I'll have the video element on YouTube and Rumble as well. It does add something, believe it or not. I want to talk a little bit more about this SPLC charges and where the DOJ is going next. But first, our friend John in Madison wants to talk about Iran. What's up, John?
Yeah, I'd like to throw 3 or 4 things past you that Trump said about the Iran war.
It's a seminar caller. What's up, dude? How have you been? Yeah, you doing good? Your family good?
Yeah.
Good.
So I want to drop 3 or 4 things in your lap that Trump said, and then hear you put your happy MAGA spin on it. Ready?
I mean, but here's the thing. You're already coming from a place of assuming that I'm going to put MAGA spin on it when I've already – you obviously don't listen to the show. I'm not the biggest fan of this conflict whatsoever. So well, I mean, like you're the kind of guy that's going to paint with a broad brush and think that this isn't a nuanced conversation, and then I'm just gonna bend the knee no matter what Trump does and not criticize him. But I've criticized this conflict numerous times on the show. I think it's a far more nuanced conversation than anybody's giving credit for, and I think that a lot of both sides are just going off the handle. So I don't know what you want from me. What point are you going to make while you farm content for your YouTube channel with 60 subscribers? What on earth are you going to do that's going to make me look bad so that way you can get a heck of a video? I mean, that's what you do. We know what you do. You understand that, right? Like this is like your full-time job. It's a bit embarrassing. You're a senior citizen who calls into radio stations and then you farm content for YouTube in your free time when you're not on your Zoom meetings. I don't know what you do.
I have a sports business, and I'm on my way now.
I mean, then I would just say if you have a sports business, I would listen to 104.5 The Zone. They're our sister station. They're pretty solid for sports. Thanks for the call. Sorry. Moving on. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. We're talking about Todd Blanche. The SPLC lawsuit, charges have been filed. Where does the DOJ go next? Well, Laura Ingraham asked him last night, and Todd Blanche said that the DOJ is actively investigating Barack Obama for his alleged role in the Russiagate conspiracy.
Perhaps given what we learned about his desire to ignore the intel community in 2016 and 2017 on the Russia issue, Barack Obama. What can you say to people tonight about the progress of these investigations? People want indictments and they want accountability for Crossfire Hurricane and the Russia investigation.
Sure. So what I can say is the same thing we've been saying all along. These investigations have to be done in secret. They cannot be done in the open, and not only because of grand jury secrecy, but it destroys the integrity of the investigation. We have great people working on all of these issues, really smart people, and we're going to continue to do that work, and when there's an appropriate time to talk about it, we will.
Yeah, I mean, people just feel like if the government can actually do this to a sitting, a candidate, and then undermine his presidency, these people claim they're for democracy and protecting democracy.
It shakes the heart of our democracy to understand what happened, and I never will be critical of anybody saying we need to hear more, we need something quicker, because it's true. If these allegations, what we've heard is
10 years
very
ago.
troubling, and it's a long time ago. It's a long time ago.
People are like, move on. I don't see how you can move on from this.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, we have late today, the SPLC came out.
So they're going to be looking into it. I know. It's like everybody's like, we've been hearing this. We always do the investigations. What's going to come? I will say, listen, I didn't hear anything about the SPLC in the lead up to these charges. These guys are moving in silence behind the scenes. I'm going to hope that we see something soon. I do know that Donald Trump posted this last night on True Social.
It should shake every single American in their shoes. I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history. James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting in July 28th in the Oval Office. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years. It undermined a sitting duly elected president. It sabotaged administration. It framed a three-star general. It destroyed and ripped this country apart. We had a constitutional crisis, the likes of which I don't think any American can fully comprehend. It is atrocious, and every single one of them must be held accountable.
Amen. Donald Trump posted that last night on True Social. It was from Newsmax. I believe the show was American Agenda. We do need some accountability. It sounds like those involved are getting a bit nervous. This was John Brennan, former CIA director under Barack Hussein Obama, last night.
It just shows that over the past 10 years, there's been, failure after failure to try to identify something that, wrongdoing in this case. But, part of this is to harass, to try to hurt individuals reputationally, professionally, financially, trying to keep the story alive as a way to deflect from other issues and challenges that they face. So, again, I'm not surprised by this. I'm very dismayed and disappointed by it.
Dismayed.
I'm also very troubled that we have people in government who seem to be so mean-spirited.
Mean-spirited. They're so mean-spirited, wanting accountability for crimes that were committed. Can you believe these people? I mean, it's just a little harsh, guys. It's a little bit, I thought they were good. I thought they were good folks, but they're not. They're mean-spirited. Oh.
That they try to hurt individuals, hurt people, their families, and others. And they claim to be part of the Republican Party. This is not the Republican Party that I work with, or that you worked with. There are people of integrity who never would have thought the Department of Justice would have fallen as far as it has.
Oh yeah, the same. That's the DOJ. The same. This is the same guy who was okay with them raiding Mar-a-Lago, rifling through Melania's underwear drawer, turning Barron's room upside down. That wasn't mean-spirited. That was justice. That was accountability. That's fine. That's fine. Again, I don't know if anything comes of this. I hope it does. We didn't hear anything about the SPLC charges before it happened. There were no leaks. It seems like they're running a buttoned-up operation to for the most part, at least from our perspective currently. But will we see accountability? Your guess is as good as mine. 615-737-9986 if you want to weigh in. There's another story that's making the rounds today, which is wild. I'm saying that the DOJ seems pretty buttoned up. They don't have any leaks in the ship as of right now, at least if you're judging off the SPLC charges. But there are leaks in the ship elsewhere. And James O'Keefe and O'Keefe Media Group released a wild expose yesterday. A top U.S. nuclear chief caught leaking sensitive national security information to a stranger, revealing an Army chemist was exposed to a U.S. chemical nerve agent, confirms U.S. strike killed children in Iran, discloses U.S. plans to kill Iran's new supreme leader. Now, who knows if this individual was just trying to look cool on a Tinder date or if he was actually leaking secrets. Either way, this needs to be dealt with.
He might kill the next guy, the son.
His son.
If he does the same ways, then he can kill. We're gonna shoot missiles and destroy some stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to win, if you want to make the country do what you want, you have to put people there.
I was hearing something that we killed kids in war. Did we actually?
There's been some collateral damage, yeah, for sure. They always die in war. Yeah. So nerve agent is a chemical weapon. It's like Pandora's box.
A nuclear and chemical safety branch chief in the United States Department of the Army spills detailed information about their possession of nerve agents.
And lungs won't work, your heart won't work, nothing will work.
Revealing that a U.S. Army chemist was exposed to the nerve agent due to careless handling.
She's supposed to wear all this gear, and she's like, I don't like it. She just wore Crocs and her own clothes.
Yeah.
And so it's soaked in her clothes. And it just soaked very well on her skin. So she could literally just start touching stuff. Other people would touch like a door, and then people would die.
Then goes on to reveal intimate details about the U.S. nuclear arsenal.
So you said there's missiles underground.
also discloses that the United States military has no official plans to nuke Iran.
We're not thinking about nuking anybody. We're not moving nukes. We're not going to nuke it.
And the exact methods that the U.S. uses to defend against nuclear attacks.
We have all these sensors in space. We have radars, all these sensors to detect a launch. Space satellites with radars, you'll see it. On the radar, you actually see the thing flying.
And confirms what many have suspected, that Ukrainian officials were using the money sent from the United States to buy themselves mansions and luxury sports cars.
I worked on Obama's tax money that he sent. They just stole it and they bought houses, cars, like $100,000 cars. If they can get themselves rich and leave and go live in Dubai, that's better than, they don't care about the people. That government is so corrupt.
I mean, a lot of this stuff, it doesn't shock you. I think the most shocking part is that this guy, after everything we've seen with the hidden camera exposés, why on earth would you reveal all of this to a Tinder date? Again, this individual is a nuclear chief caught leaking sensitive national security information. This is according to James O'Keefe. Revealed that the Army chemist was exposed to a U.S. chemical nerve agent, confirms U.S. strike killed children in Iran, disclosed U.S. plans to kill Iran's new supreme leader. Andrew Hugg is his name. He's a U.S. chief of chemical nuclear surety. He was caught on hidden camera, casually revealing sensitive information to a stranger in a public restaurant. He's on hidden camera releasing information regarding the U.S. nuclear information. He claims the U.S. still possesses nerve agents, says a U.S. Army chemist recently died from exposure. He acknowledged U.S. airstrikes have killed children in Iran, calling it collateral damage. He described how the United States could assassinate Iran's next leader if he doesn't change, while admitting the U.S. has no plans to use nuclear weapons. All of this was casually revealed to an undercover journalist in a restaurant. That raises serious questions about the official's judgment, security, and what's really happening behind the closed doors. He said that we have reached out to the Pentagon and U.S. Army for comment. They are working on a response. I have not seen a response yet from the U.S. Army or the Pentagon. That could have changed since we started the show. But what on earth are you doing on a Tinder date revealing this kind of information? Now, my mind immediately went to World War II propaganda because I don't know, I'm warped. And we used to actively talk about careless talk. I don't know if you've ever seen any of these posters, but for years there would be posters around the United States, especially during World War II, and the message was always around, you never know who's listening. And I think we need to get back to this state, especially with the amount of surveillance capabilities and how far that they've come. These guys need to be as buttoned up as humanly possible. But if you're watching on Super Talk TV, I mean, there's all these old school posters. Careless talk costs lives. Tell nobody, not even her. Strictly between these four walls, careless talk causes lives. Less dangerous than careless talk, and it's a picture of a rattlesnake. I mean, this was always known. Be careful who you're speaking to. Don't divulge classified information. Don't divulge secrets. This guy should be absolutely fired. He should be charged. And so should anyone else leaking this kind of information to look cool on a Tinder date. It's just insane. World War II USA silence posters, primarily created by the Office of War Information from 1942, aimed to prevent civilians from leaking military secrets to enemy agents. If our guys are catching this, if O'Keefe Media Group is catching this, you don't think that foreign governments are doing the exact same thing? They 100% are. And we know that they are. I mean, don't forget, Eric Swalwell was sleeping with Fang Fang. Allegedly. Stuff is infuriating. Kudos to O'Keefe Media Group, though, for exposing it. And I hope that this is a lesson well learned by others. Don't make the same mistakes. It's 11:21. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. Talk about Shane all the time. He's a great guy. He's going to help you save a bunch of money or get some great health insurance if you need it. If you think that you have to wait for open enrollment, you got to wait till the fall to get good health insurance. That's wrong. That's just what the big companies want you to believe. With Cover Nash, you can get covered today, right now. No waiting and no gimmicks. You missed open enrollment, no problem. You lost your job coverage. That stinks, but we can help you out. If you're sick of overpriced junk insurance, you're in the right place. Even if you're insured right now, I would suggest giving Shane Ring a call and seeing if he can save you money. There's a chance that he could, because Cover Nash partners with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, including brand new nationwide PPO options with deductibles as low as $250. Flat $50 doctor visits, ACA-compliant plans with free preventative care. Whether you're an individual, whether you got to cover the whole family, you got a small business, or you're self-employed, Shane Ring has a plan for you. Stop overpaying, stop waiting, and stop thinking you're stuck. That is not the reality. The reality is you can make a phone call right now and save some money and get some great health insurance. 615-465-0023, 615-465-0023, or hit them up online, covernash.com. Health insurance on your terms, not the government's. Covernash.com.
Nashville Electric Service hasn't addressed some of the biggest failures of its ice storm response. We've got a report coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I was going through the text line, and I guess this morning around 8:40, there was a giant bucket of spilt nails on 65 South.
That sounds like something on 24.
It's not fun. Nobody likes that.
No, sir.
24 is a mess. It's the worst highway in the country.
A spilt bucket of nails.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. I didn't see it in real time, but I'm reacting to it now. I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah, people are going to, they're going to go out. They're going to go to their cars after work today, and they're going to have at least one flat tire.
Dude. You're not lying.
Because it takes a while.
It does. It's a slow leak. It's a slow leak. It's not like the U.S. chemist who is quickly leaking things to his Tinder date from the James O'Keefe report, the top U.S. nuclear chief. What a clown. Andrew Hug. A lot of people on the text line. I probably got maybe 200 texts saying loose lips sink ships. Yeah, accurate. On the way, we got the lightning round. I'm going to tell you why I am actually a huge fan of Brinks truck robbers. So be on the lookout for that. Last night, though, on CNN, before we get to the lightning round, CNN's Casey Hunt pulled up an NBC poll. And the NBC poll was really supposed to highlight how bad America is and how everybody thinks America is such an awful place. So she highlights this poll and she says, oh, there's a new NBC poll and it's stunning. It's shocking. It says only 23% of Americans say the United States is a great country, one of the greatest countries in the world. And Scott Jennings says, hold on a second. Can we break that down by party?
Right, and even if we look at like what the United States is the greatest country in the world, 36% of people said that was true. 41% said it's one of, but only 23% of people said we're not one of the greatest countries.
And if you looked at the splits on that by politics, what would you find?
I don't have that slide to
hand, you looked
Scott,
at this, but if you looked at the splits on how people feel about America, the promise of America, if you look at whether they're proud of their country or not, Gallup has measured this. Republicans and conservatives are proud to be Americans. And it's Democrats and liberals who are not. And I think if you looked at the splits in that, you'd find
the opposite of where I wanted
you'd find the lines on the graph going this way. And honestly, I think there's a political movement in this country right now built on telling people that America's rotten at its core, and it's not the Republican ideology.
He's absolutely right. And what have we learned today? That political movement has been funding the evil that they've been claiming to fight, a la the SPLC and these hate groups. America is the greatest country in the world. And we have to save this country because there's nowhere else left to go. And even with all the flaws, all the blemishes, all the beauty marks, it is the best place to live, bar none. We have everything. We have an incredibly blessed existence. Even living in poverty in America is better than living affluently in some other countries. This is the greatest country in the world. Conservatives absolutely believe it. That's why we think it's so worth fighting for. The Democrats want to tear everything down, and we're watching that happen in real time to the point where they're funding the groups that they claim to be fighting. Insanity. Absolute insanity. They absolutely went after a sitting U.S. president to try and overthrow an election by the American people. Not once, but twice. They're going to do it again if we lose the midterms. Don't worry, though. The Republicans are working. I think they're going to work on a few things. They're not working on the Save America Act, which could actually save the country. Leader John Thune, though, yesterday said that they are working on the DHS shutdown because that's still going on, which is bananas to even think about. That's still happening. It's still happening.
So we worked with Democrats, actually worked with Democrats on all 12. And then, of course, at the last minute, the Democrats decided they didn't want to fund DHS. And so we've now had 2 long shutdowns of DHS, so long that the employees at DHS has been unfunded for a longer time than it's been funded. So those employees over there have not been paid for more days than they've been paid in this fiscal year, if you can believe that. So the Democrats have effectively written themselves out of the appropriations process by drawing a line in the sand and saying that we are so committed to our open borders and defund the police policies that we are not going to fund the 2 agencies that are tasked with keeping this country safe, protecting our border, and ensuring that illegal immigrants in this country who commit criminal acts are deported out of the country. That's pretty much what it is. As simple as that.
That's John Thune talking tough. Had we nuked the filibuster 3 months ago, this conversation wouldn't need to happen today. But we didn't because Republicans don't know how to fight. Lightning round's on the way. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, we're learning what happened during today's Metro Power Board meeting. The first since the report released Friday that says NES was not prepared for the January ice storm. It listed at least 7 major failures. And Channel 4's Brendan Tierney says NES CEO Teresa Broyles-Applin told board members today they haven't started fixing some of them.
The biggest change they want to make is having specific actions that automatically happen depending on the size of an outage, like bringing in more resources to help repair lines.
We want it to be more thoughtful and memorializing that based on skill sets and assigning people to not only just primary but secondary job duties for storms, so that we can pivot as we determine that this is fully built out.
The final report's expected by the middle of June, and NES says it's going to keep making changes depending on what that investigation finds.
Included in those 7 major failures of NES was failure to anticipate and stage enough repair crews, and then turning away and failing to accept outside help. Federal disaster unemployment assistance is now available for people impacted by the winter storm. FEMA approved aid for 29 counties. That includes Davidson, Shelby, Rutherford, Sumner counties. Eligible workers can start applying on April 23rd. That's tomorrow. You'll have until June 9th to apply. They're available at jobs4tn.gov. Or you can call the 1-877 number. That's 1-877-813-0950. The biological parents of a baby mistakenly given to the wrong couple as the result of an IVF mix-up have now been told, says ABC's Sherry Preston.
This ends one chapter of our heartbreaking journey, but raises new issues that will have to be resolved. That's the statement from Tiffany Score and Stephen Mills, the Florida couple overjoyed to welcome their baby girl last December, but devastated after realizing she wasn't related to them. Afraid the biological parents would come forward at some point, they set out to find them, that couple wishing to remain anonymous. Score and Mills are now concerned their IVF clinic, the Fertility Center of Orlando, may have implanted their fertilized embryos in some other woman. The clinic says it doesn't know where the embryos are. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
37 minutes past the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So it's weird. Mason's actually in the on-air studio today, not the producer studio, because we got Ryan training in the back. So Mason's in the main studio for the lightning round.
This feels weird.
It is. It is weird.
I like my protective glass between us normally, but you're within breathing room, and
it's awkward.
It's a little much.
We got some doozies in the lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I don't know. I might go full pro Mom Donnie.
Really?
I'm feeling like I might, and I know I know that I'm going to go pro Brinks truck robbers. Without further ado, let's start the lightning round. Get to the music one.
It's the lightning round with Chris Hand.
Every day this time we do the lightning round. We cover all the stories that wouldn't fill a whole segment, stories that we ran out of time to talk about, stories that, well, we didn't really have another place to put. And we like to call it the lightning round. When I say lightning, you hit lightning. There it is. There it is. All right. Ooh.
We're in and out.
We're in and out.
We're
It's
flowing.
all right. It's all right.
It's good times. Good times.
Where do you want to start?
I think we start with the robbers, just as a refresh from earlier.
Okay.
I think is a good place to start because the Mom Donnie one is fun.
I don't know why I feel such a pull to these guys and why I feel like I'm rooting for them, but I am. I can't lie to you. I will not tell a lie. I go full Johnny Appleseed in this segment, and
I don't blame you.
I can't tell a lie. I like these guys.
Story on Action News at noon is breaking this hour. A brazen robbery targeted an armored truck this morning in Philadelphia's Tacony neighborhood. Police say 2 armed suspects robbed that truck right here on the 7200 block of Torresdale Avenue. They escaped after taking a massive amount of cash from that truck. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson live for us at the scene with an update from police.
I love Action News. It's not. We don't do regular, boring, sit on the kids. This is Action News, baby. You got to raise the bar. This is Action News. So, all right, just for starters, let me just preface with no one was injured. No shots were fired. That's why I like these guys. We see so many crimes where millions of dollars are stolen, but it's like very little effort. Like somebody submitted some false paperwork to the federal government and they get all this money, and then we're supposed to be very upset. But when these guys do this, I'm like, that, you put in a little bit of work.
Give a little bit of effort.
There's a lot of effort. And then you got away. Mm-hmm. To do this in broad daylight in the modern surveillance state that we have in the city of Philadelphia is remarkable.
It's a little nuts, yeah. Especially done in the middle of the day, right?
In the middle of the day.
Yeah, just scot-free.
They got $1.8 million.
That's nuts. That feels almost like classic bank robber stuff.
Yeah, it does. Like train robbers, like Jesse James. I feel like we have a long history in this country of rooting for guys like this.
Yeah.
John, sources tell me it was $1.8 million stolen from that armored truck this morning. It all happened behind me. I'm told the truck was parked right behind me at the Torresdale bus loop. It was a Brinks armored truck. Police say around 9:43 is when 2 armed men approached that truck. Take a look from Chopper 6. You see the Brinks truck on the 7200 block of Torresdale Avenue. Witnesses say the truck had been on the block servicing a budget financial center. That's when police say 2 males with assault rifles approached the truck and, according to sources, again, robbed it of $1.8 million before speeding off. Here's some ground video. It shows the aftermath of this crazy and brazen robbery. You see police on the scene here. The FBI, I'm told, is handling the case. You see police and investigators talking to witnesses in the area. This is a very busy business district, and we spoke with several people who were either working or in these businesses when that robbery happened around 9:43 again this morning. And again, take a look at Chopper 6. Once again, the investigation brought police to Front and Fairmount Streets in Northern Liberties, where sources tell me that getaway vehicle was found. I'm told it's a blue electric vehicle. Witnesses say the whole ordeal was absolutely terrifying.
I mean, I'm sure it was scary, but nobody was hurt.
Yeah,
it feels like movie material.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It gives me, minus all the shooting and bombing of the school buses, it gave me Dark Knight vibes at the beginning of Dark Knight with Joker coming in out of nowhere, middle of the day.
I went full The Town with Ben Affleck, where they were knocking off bread trucks.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I think that movie had more murder though.
Just a little bit.
Joan Jones said this morning that there's been a string of these bread trucks getting knocked off in Philadelphia, that there were like 7 other ones that have been knocked off already.
Then you might be right then with pulling that town reference.
I just kind of like the story. I don't want to root for the bad guys, but sometimes I feel like rooting for the bad guys.
I kind of want him to come with a good like gang name. It's like, it's Johnny and the boys. See, we robbed you here.
All right. I got another story for you here in the lightning round. All right, very good, young man.
I didn't train him on that. Whoa, that was good.
All right, are you ready for the latest and greatest sports ball curse?
Oh.
The New York Mets had a very special visitor about 12 games ago.
Yeah, someone from up in the good old state of New York, I believe.
Yeah, the socialist Ugandan communist mayor. And since the socialist Ugandan communist mayor visited the New York Mets, they have gone on to a 12-game losing streak. The report's going to say 11, but I just double-checked, and I did counting. I counted twice. You can ask Mason during the commercial break. They're at a 12-game losing streak since the Mamdani curse has been put into full effect.
They are calling it the curse of the Mambino, the New York Mets.
Whoa, that's spicy. The Mambino? The Mambino.
A little bit of a nickname thrown in.
They are calling it the curse of the Mambino. The New York Mets have lost 11 straight games since New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani hugged Mr. and Mrs. Met at Citi Field. And fans are now blaming the Democrat socialist for the epic losing streak. One Mets fan telling the New York Post, quote, "He gave them bad juju. That was not good when he hugged them. I was like, what's going on? Nobody touches Mr. Met, only Mrs. Met. That's it."
I will say, I don't think it's a curse. I think he's just redistributing the wins for a more equitable outcome.
Everybody gets a win.
Everybody gets a win. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. A congressman confirms that the U.S. military is in possession of a massive, unidentified aircraft that is too big to move, and instead of moving it, they built a military base around it. Rep. Eric Burleson revealed this yesterday on the Benny Johnson show. You thought that Tim Burchett was the only UFO guy in Congress? No. Rep. Eric Burleson said, "Hold my green tea."
The fact that you have a clearance and you have the ability to go into a SCIF or the capacity to go and sit in classified settings and get briefed on what the federal government has as far as UFO evidence. You made a claim this weekend that I thought was remarkable, a craft too big to move. Can you unpack that for us?
I was told that in a SCIF and also outside of one, that there is a craft at a location in a foreign country that is too big to move. They built a building around it. It's in a foreign country, and it is a U.S. installation. I can't say anything more than that.
It's on like a U.S. military base installation.
I can't really say anything more than that. What I can say is that it would be quite a trip to get there. I'm going to continue to do research.
What do you think, Mason? This guy telling the truth, or is he lying?
I don't know. I want it to be real.
You know what else he went on to say? He went on to say that one of the missing scientists, Amy Eskridge, was targeted by a direct energy weapon. This guy was spilling beans yesterday on the Benny Johnson show. I'm just letting you know.
Could you just expound on your thoughts on Amy Eskridge and others?
Yeah. So I'm not certain about the others, but I know that Amy Eskridge was clearly distraught. She was telegraphing to friends and family that she was being harassed. She engaged the services of a former British intelligence officer who was investigating the harassment or the strange things that were happening to her. They were able to determine that she was the victim of what others call the Havana syndrome, which we now know is the result of a directed energy type weapon using microwave energy. This is well documented. I think 60 Minutes was one of the first to document what
Catherine Herridge too.
Multiple people in our intelligence community. So I personally know several others who are still dealing with the unfortunate lasting effects of Havana syndrome. So that's not a controversial or speculative or wild idea. It's certainly been documented, well documented. But I'm not certain if the other scientist experienced Havana syndrome, but Amy, it was. I think that they had significant evidence that she was a victim of that.
This missing scientist stuff gets spookier and spookier, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that Benny didn't even have to take him on a Tinder date for him to spill all those secrets.
No, he did not. He did not. He's no Tinder
He's like,
date.
no, here, happily, freely.
All right, got another story for you here in the lightning round. This one I'm labeling Whole Foods surprise.
Uh-oh.
Would you? I mean, you would classify Whole Foods as probably one of the classier grocery stores out there.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the uppity.
They try, at least they try to position themselves that way.
Yeah.
Well, if you were in a Whole Foods, is that the place that you would expect a man to rub his genitals on your face?
No, I don't think that's commonplace. I put that at Kmart maybe if they were still open, but Whole Foods probably
not. It's a red light special, baby. It's just what they do. Well, that's what happened in California because even Whole Foods isn't safe in California. A 28-year-old man has been arrested and charged after a security video allegedly showed him. I don't know how. If you have the security video, what's alleged about this?
Yeah, it's pretty.
You either rubbed or you did not rub.
Yeah, it's plain and simple.
The video allegedly showed him rubbing his genitals on an unsuspecting woman's face.
To rub or not to rub? That's the question.
Police say on March 23rd, 28-year-old Jared Palestrada chose to rub. He approached a woman. Sorry. I know.
Get him out. Throw him out into the coat.
I know. I'm sorry.
Don't give him that coat.
We shouldn't laugh about this.
No, this is serious charges.
It's embarrassing.
It really is.
Don't laugh about this.
Straight face.
So police say on March 23rd, 28-year-old Jared Palestrada approached a woman in a Southern California Whole Foods and sexually assaulted her. The unnamed victim had crouched down to examine a product when Estrada allegedly approached her, dropped his pants, leaned in, and pressed his penis into her ear. That's why I never get anything on the bottom shelf.
Yeah, I'm a top shelf guy.
The risks outweigh the rewards.
Yeah, I don't need that small can of paste on the bottom shelf. Go top shelf.
Nobody does.
It's worth the extra $1.
Got another story for you here in the lightning round. Well, what?
I just think it's so funny to think top shelf stuff is better so I don't get a penis in my ear.
Well, it's the last place you want it.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, actually, there's probably other places you wouldn't want it.
Oh, yeah, fair.
There's a couple.
I don't want another man's penis near me at all.
No.
Just to be frank.
Uninvited penises are the worst kind.
Just the worst.
Just the worst.
The worst.
All right, next story of the lightning round. I'm going to file this under what happened to you guys? You used to be cool. Okay? This is from our friends across the pond in England.
Oh, used to be cool?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But if something like this happens here, I'm gonna take action personally.
Understandable.
A bill banning people born after 2008 from buying tobacco clears the UK Parliament. Ministers hope tobacco and vapes bill, which will become law next week, will create a smoke-free generation. A bill just passed that bans anyone born after 2008 from buying any tobacco products in the UK. It has completed its progress through Parliament in a move that the ministers hope will create a smoke-free generation. Under the tobacco and vapes bill, anyone born after January 1st, 2009 will never be able to legally be sold tobacco across the United Kingdom in an effort to save lives and reduce the burden on NHS. That's their free healthcare for everybody.
That's interesting.
What happened to personal freedom? And isn't Winston Churchill one of your big heroes? Like, he was always puffing on a cigar.
Yeah, no, all the time.
If they ever did anything like this here, I'm just going to go on the record. I'm taking up smoking.
Buying packs on packs.
Buying bogues again. We're getting cigars. We're getting stogs. We're getting bogues. I might get a pipe.
Tarlong is sounding a lot more enticing. I'm
gonna go max. I'm gonna max my tobacco intake.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pop Zins while I'm smoking on a pipe.
Maybe a little dip in the cheek.
Yeah, all of it.
Just double packed.
All of it. I might even grow my own tobacco and start drying it. Quite a few people.
Get your papers from here. Tobacco from here.
Quite a few people are texting in saying that the uninvited penises are the worst kind. Should be a promo for the show. So the bill would become legislation when it reveals royal assent next week. Its long journey through both houses of parliament began when it was introduced on the 5th of November, 2024. Remember the 5th of November, the day they took away your tobacco pipes. On Tuesday, when the House of Commons and Lords, which is so lame, the House of Lords.
Oh, hoity-toity.
When they approve amendments made by the MPs in the House of Commons. So just nobody's allowed to have fun. The only thing that could save this, the only thing that could stop it, would be if the Muslims said that it's in the Quran, and you have to let them smoke.
You have to.
You have to. That's the only way that you can get around this.
Yeah.
That does it for the lightning round. It's 11:53. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Zero Res Nashville. I got 4 kids, 2 dogs, and right now in Murfreesboro, we got baseball season going on. That means we're tracking in a lot of red dirt, plus some grass stains, plus whatever the dogs just stepped in 5 minutes ago. So we always call Zero Res when the carpets need a little bit of TLC. And I'll tell you what, it fits right in with the Maha agenda. These guys are the Maha of carpet cleaning. Make America healthy again. They got the mindset. They clean carpets without harsh chemicals, without the soap residue. They just use their exclusive ZR water system that actually gets everything out. Your carpets are going to look insanely clean. They're going to stay clean longer, which matters if you're like me and you got kids and dogs running in and out of the house all day long. And right now is the perfect time to do it. We're coming out of cold and flu season. Spring is in the air. Freshen up the house. They got 2 and 3 room specials happening right now that you need to take advantage of, like so many others have. 4,800 Google reviews, a 4.9 rating. Clearly, a lot of families around town trust these guys. You can trust them too. 615-535-9376. That's the number to call and book. 615-535-9376. Or you can always book online. If you don't like talking to people, ZeroResNashville.com. 58 minutes past the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Quote of the day: an uninvited penis is the worst kind.
That's right. Put that on a shirt.
I had one texter say, would it have been better if it was a female penis?
Well, you know they have those.
They do.
They do.
Many such. I'm not a biologist.
I don't know science.
What do you expect from me?
I've only got a law degree.
What are you talking about on the show today? I'm sorry that I took the uninvited story.
No, that was a good one. You know what? We'll probably talk about it's One Hit Wonder Wednesday. We're going to have some fun with that. Got crazy white women giving dating advice that is spectacular. Of course, Bell's going to come up hardcore with all the sports he's been learning.
That's the funniest bit.
Yeah, so he's got some good stuff. Shooty Hoops playoffs started, so he's going to know nothing about that.
Let's go.
Yeah, so we're going to be good with that. And who knows what else we'll talk about.
You know what you should tell him? Have you heard about the curse of the Mambino?
Which one's for this?
You haven't heard the curse of the Mambino? It's taken the sports world by storm. The illustrious mayor.
Oh,
of
that's
New York
right.
City,
What are they? 12 in a row?
12 in a row.
They are calling it the curse of the Mambino.
It's the curse of the Mambino,
They're
baby.
so awful. $350 million just being wasted.
Hey, spoiler alert. It's not just the Mets dealing with the curse of the Mambino. Yeah. It is all of New York.
It is.
Actually.
Yeah, they are. But that is a lot of money to spend to suck.
It is. It is a lot of money to spend to suck. Well, hopefully we get those updates in Sports with Bell. Sporty Ball.
Sporty Ball. Sporty Ball. He knows what he's talking about, kind of, sort of, not really.
Chad's in next. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.